Oh.
Don't see me. I'm behind the kid. No, well, I'm fucked. Power. Oh. The neons. What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even in this, am I? There is a lot of bugs. Fuck you! Yeah, it comes to the van. Oh, don't see me. I'm behind the kid. No, well, I'm fucked. Power. Oh. The neons. What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even in this, am I? There is a lot of bugs. Fuck you! Yeah, it comes to the van. Hey, how? Just see you waving at the time. Hello, welcome everybody to the Bits and Pieces podcast, episode 20, and we are live as always over on twitch.tv/funny bits boy, and
That woke me up. That woke me up.
And yeah, welcome in everyone. If you're new here, welcome to the podcast. As always, we're a very young podcast. We've been doing, like I said, 20 episodes now. And if you're new into this, welcome. How are you doing? We like to do spotlights, what we call spotlights, where we talk about a game that we've either recently played or played maybe a few years ago before the podcast was even a thing. So that's why we go back to them, so we can mention it in this and talk about our thoughts. We're not really reviewers or anything, but we are talking about games that we're either passionate about or we've got a passion towards getting it off our chest and just getting that anger out if we didn't like a game in particular. And we'll probably have a little bit of that tonight, I can imagine. I'm going to be I've got a spotlight. I think Freedy's got a spotlight. Beth doesn't at the moment this week.
No.
But sometimes Beth does a joke of a week, so she might have something there for us later on. But before...
I will. Sorry. I will.
Before all that... Before all that, we'll have some news as well. So yeah, let's jump straight in. Who wants to throw the card into the hat this week?
Oh well, I'll go first.
Right.
Me,
Freddie. Me. What game are you going to be talking about this week?
Wow. This game is it's a fairly old game. It's one of the Darkest Dungeon clones called Iratus, Lord of the Dead, and it was an early access game that came out a little while ago. I think it was either last year or the year before. I'm not entirely sure. 2020, I think it is. I'm not sure. I'll look it up in a little bit. But it was early access for a little while, and what drew me to the game was the art style. I wasn't really into Darkest Dungeon back then, and I didn't really have a clue about these sort of stress management games where your party gets stressed and obliterated because they all start crying and want to go home to their mums and dads and their sisters or whatever, but they just give up and want to go home basically. And this is basically you play the bad guys, and you play a necromancer who has been killed and is resurrected by a cult following, and then you literally plan your revenge upon the world. And sounds good in premise. It sounds pretty decent. I mean, there isn't many games that you focus as the bad guy. But Dungeon Keeper is probably the only other one that brings to mind of in terms of management and troops and base building and stuff like that. Yeah, so you start off as this. It's all narrated by the necromancer himself, and he's invisible git, and he just constantly moans all the time. And the premise is that he is annoyed and wants to destroy everybody. He's like, shouldn't have died. I'm the best. He's got a real ego trip on him. So as the game starts off, throws you into a dungeon, and basically the game works is you basically farm humans and animals for parts. You then reconstruct these parts into various nefarious monsters: werewolves, ghouls, goblins, dark knights, various other things. Lots of crazy abominations. Literally, there's quite a lot. So, in terms of gameplay and content, there's quite a little bit to unpack. Then you build your base. You have to level up your units. You have to manage your units. You have to manage your equipment. You have to improve them all the time, because if you don't, you can't get anywhere. So the game has the loop is you basically fight heroes, or in this case, it's criminals and underlings at first, and then you move on to the heroes later on in the game. However, how this game takes place is that it's on a board game. So when the movement comes along, you've got this little dude on the board, and he basically moves around, and then you encounter things. So there'll be like events. So there'll be like a story event. There'll be like some sort of event where the guy will do some exposition about some crap he doesn't like, and it's just all he ever says. I don't like him. He's an absolute pain in my ass. He needs to die. And that's all he ever says. And then when you meet like fellow cultists, and you can either decide to kill them or try and hire them, try and convert them. It's sort of this, the usual sort of story RPG beats you get with decision making in games. It's either yes or no. You either fight them or you don't. You either bribe them or you can recruit them. That's pretty much the three main aspects of this game. Okay. So you take your army and you basically fight your way through the myriad of annoying monsters and mobs, and this is where the game falls apart for me. And yes, this is going to be a little moan fest, because I've wanted to talk about this game for a little while. I hate it when games have a really good premise and then they completely screw it up. Not mentioning anything, but this one is just like along those lines. They have a really good premise, great art design, it's fairly good voice acting, even though the guy is an annoying twerp, and it should be really good, but it's not. It falls flat on its face the moment you start getting into it. It becomes very grindy, very repetitious, and there's no amount of story-driven content is going to drive hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of grinding the same 5-6 mobs. It gets very, very boring in the early parts of the game. Although the end part of the game does get good when you start fighting the real heroes and they start getting really strong. But let's get into the gameplay. So your first character will be either a knight or someone who can tank. So your team usually consists of 4 types. And the same if you've played Darkest Dungeon, you'll have a big dude in the front who can take a few hits and can either buff or defend. You'll have a DPS support in the back. And then you'll either have a healer or a caster. That's usually how I run these sort of games with a mixed group. Because if you try to do like 4 knights, you won't do any damage and you'll just die. It'll take a long time, but you will eventually die. Without no healer, without no support, without no caster, without no ranged people, there's certain enemies that you just can't get past. And they literally will block the entire front row, and they'll just sit there and tank you for days. It'll be like, you'll just sit there and just smack him, and you'll be like, dead. And it gets really, sometimes even with the right group, it does feel a bit like that. Some enemies are really, really tanky, and the only way you can beat them is by using bleed or poison or some sort of debuff to make them take more damage or do less damage. And it's pretty much the same way in Darkest Dungeon, how you manage your team, how you build your team. And then the gameplay consists of, you have the fear, which is the same as Darkest Dungeon, which is literally ripped right out of it, like the fear aspect to the monsters get scared and lose heart and die, or they get encouraged and they do more damage, and that's pretty much how that works. I've never had a team last long enough to even experience that very well. It's usually just dead. You know, you don't really get don't really survive long enough because the game just gets really like. There's some games that are really prone to difficulty spikes, and I'll get into that later as well. But this game has probably some of the worst difficulty spikes I've ever experienced in any game. And there's certain bosses on certain maps you cannot kill, no matter what you do. Unless you've got like maxed out, like you've grinded for like ridiculous amount of time and literally built the strongest variation of each monster you have or start with, you're not going to get past it. So the game requires you to devote a lot of time. And in this sort of environment where there's so many better games, and you think, oh, fancy being a bad guy, might be fun for a little while. No, the game doesn't reward your time. It expects more time from you, which is one of the biggest gripes I have with this game. It's a phenomenal grind, and that massively detracts from the fun you could have with the game. Because building monsters and creating them and naming them and giving them weapons and stuff, and then watching them ferry out and watching them run around and die is sometimes quite amusing. You can make your character called, like, for example, Funny Bits Boy, and watch him cry in the front and keel over from getting a few hits in. And you can make your caster, Fix Beth, who will also cry and get hit and run away. Examples. It's just examples. Oh, and 3D as well, where the guy at the back, the sorcerer, dies in one hit, pretty much like me. And it's pretty much it's very fun, but it's not as fun as it should be. It should have been so much better. And I don't know if you two have played this game or experienced Darkest Dungeon type games.
I've seen gameplay of Darkest Dungeon, but I haven't played it myself. But it is on Game Pass, which I'm tempted to download and try.
It's Darkest Dungeon is a good game.
I own Darkest Dungeon as well, so I'm familiar with the format.
Yeah, so it just borrows too heavily from Darkest Dungeon, despite the story bits that you have and the little bits of lore that you have that come up, which is interesting, but it's few and far between. And some of the events then start repeating. Like you'll find like ghoul sites where you can resurrect the ghoul, or you can kill the beast guarding it, or you can back out without attacking them. And there's things like that will be repeated, but will have slightly different options every time. So it's RNG based game. It's like randomly generated, so that every map is different. Every run through is different. Every enemy set is different. But the world map, I think, just really detracts from the experience. It's not like Darkest Dungeon where you walk through the map and you actually see the dungeons and you walk through and experience all the atmosphere and the changes, and you see little bits of lore. And this is completely devoid of all that. It's actually just a blank screen with a map on it, like a board game, and you go from A to B. It's not even a dice function or anything. It's something like that. It's a little nod to D&D Dungeons, like D&D, just to give it a little bit of character. There's nothing. You just automatically move across the board and you just run into whatever. And you might have the odd occasion where you can pick what direction you go in, and that's it. But every map will have a mini boss and a boss at the end of it, and it's just I just want. It should have been good. It should have been good, but it's a tedious, boring affair that isn't even worth buying in the sale unless you're a massive, massive Darkest Dungeon fan and you really, really love grinding in video games. I mean, to the point where you want to marry grinding. That's literally how much you have to grind in this game. It expects way too much from the player. Expects way too much from the people that the audience. They're trying to jump on the Darkest Dungeon popularity bandwagon, and they failed miserably. This should have been a home run for a game, and it's just missing a lot of quality, a lot of personality, a lot of originality. It's just very copy and paste. There we go, with a different art style, and it should have been so much better. So that's Iratus, Lord of the Dead on Steam. It's not on any other platform as far as I'm aware, and as far as I know, development has updates and development has ceased now. They're not even supporting the game anymore, and there's still loads of bugs and things with the game. There's still loads of coding errors, and there's stuff that's happening that shouldn't be happening. And I think actually updates finished last year. So so if you really are curious, you can pick it up for about £3 or £4 in a sale. I bought it when it just came out of early access. I think I don't know the price off the top of my head. Let me have a look.
So whatever it is, not worth it.
No, but some people will like these sort of games regardless of status or
Well, what I
they
take
like.
from this is play if you want to experience
Whoa,
this
no,
kind
never
of game.
mind. It's $23.99.
Darkest Dungeon.
It's
How much?
$23.99, and it
23.99.
has DLC. So that's 24 quid. Massive skip. Don't even bother. That's not even worth. There's so many better games you can get for 24 quid. That is extortionate. So honestly, got that Darkest Dungeon you can buy for £5. Nah. Forget it. Forget I said anything. Don't buy this game. Don't support this game. That's ridiculous here. And it doesn't even include DLC. So they have the audacity to charge another 17 quid for DLC. So you're looking at £40 for some side-scrolling, lazy
What's
cookie cutter
DLC?
game.
Yeah.
If they're selling DLC, what is the DLC?
It is a supporters pack,
Oh.
which includes 3 items. Oh, let's have a gander, shall we? You get the soundtrack.
Oh, that's real good.
And you get a
Downloadable
strategy.
content.
You get a strategy guide that probably just tells you what stuff does and doesn't even help you that much.
Oh,
And the supporter pack. The other thing it includes. No, that's it. The other thing doesn't even tell you what it is. Just says supporter pack.
well,
That and some
okay.
skins.
Well,
Yeah, pretty much.
I-
Wrath of the Necromancer is the other one. 2020 was the last time it brought out some DLC. Oh, so the release date was October 26th, 2020. So I was right when I said that 2020. So yeah, so it's a fairly 2 years old now. And oh my god, no. Oh my god, that's shocked me. That I bought it when it was like £7 in early access.
I'm not sure 3D8. Do you not recommend it or?
I'll be if you haven't got the gist already, don't buy this game. Right, there you go. That's me out. Mic drop.
Oof.
So, in the words of Dr. Evil, how about no?
How about
Yeah.
no?
How about no?
Hello.
Get this filth
Is
off
that
my
Danny?
TV.
Oh, right. So, no, I've never seen it. I'd never heard of it before. Never seen it before. But like you said, it's got that similarity to like you said, they've taken strongly from the Darkest Dungeon. I've played Darkest Dungeons. The only thing I can take away from any of that, what you've talked about, and by going what you're telling us now, yeah, Darkest Dungeons is a way forward. Definitely,
Yeah,
play that.
100%. But it's
I haven't
like
played
80%
either,
cheaper
but
as well.
Yeah. At the price in which you're
on Game
paying.
Pass.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's free.
Yeah.
I mean, it's free. Or
Go download it.
download it, play it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
But not this one.
game. No,
Not
do
right
not
now.
download. Don't waste your money on Iratus, Lord of the Dead, please.
Iratus
Yeah.
is irritating.
Don't download this game, but before you download Darkest Dungeon, wait until we finish the podcast, and then you can download it.
Yeah. Stick with us.
Yeah,
We've got more to say.
stick
Yeah.
around. Yeah, we've got.
We have got a lot more to say. If we've done with that, we're done with that. I'll throw my card into the hat.
We are 100% done with that.
Wouldn't we be throwing it out?
Yeah, so my spotlight of this week then is Code Vein. Code Vein I played back when it came out in 2019, I think it was. Came out in 2019 on Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. I did play it originally on the PlayStation 4. That's I kind of liked it at the start. It was okay. I thought it was enjoyable. There was a couple of episodes ago, if you were around to listen, me and Beth was talking about Souls-like games. I'm like, I don't think I've played any. And I did find out that I did actually play Grime, which was a side-scroller, dark Souls-like game as well. And this is also a Souls-like. It is from Bandai Namco Entertainment. As we said, it's a Souls-like anime. It's got customized in it, I think was quite good. I think it was really good. When I started the game originally, I started playing it, and then I started seeing people were customizing their characters the way they were doing. It was like, oh wow, can you do that? So I started again, not realizing there is a point in the game where if you get to a safe house, there is a mirror that you can still do your customization there as well. So you can include. I spent an age trying to customize my characters. Some people were doing some fantastic jobs, by the way. I will say that. In terms of like
designs.
Some crazy designs that you could do in this. So to the game itself, what is it about? Well, it's set in the future. The world has fallen into a mysterious calamity known as the Great Collapse. So you've got to fight some monsters that begin emerging around the world. Humanity created the revenants, human corpses brought back to life, basically, and biological organ regenerative, or the boar, as it's known. Parasites within the heart, acting as a vampiric fighters with unique abilities. Revenants can only die if their heart is destroyed. Over time, a number of there was something that's happened in the world. I can't remember what. It was a long time ago I played it. But there's basically, so it's kind of like your blood first. You play as a bit of a vampire-esque. You are the player characters. You could choose to be male or female. I mean, of course, I went waifu, so I went straight down that line of creating. It is because it is very much anime. It is very much that.
It is.
It is. It is so you awaken in a city known as the Vein, sealed within the red mist. The land inside known as the Ghoul, or the Ghoul. I think it's called.
Yeah, I think
the mist. Yeah, guarded by a girl who's all dressed in white. Lo, I think her name was. Who then
dressed.
Yeah.
Dressed.
Yeah, less loosely termed dressed.
Yes, very loosely dressed.
And she's there, so she helps carry you along. I think there are several characters within the game that you'll meet along the way. There are characters called, what were they called? I think they were they? I can't.
Tropes.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the actual.
Most of the characters are forgettable, to be honest.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. I really I liked it initially, and then there was, but it is it is Souls-like, so it does have that difficulty aim. You go through, obviously, it's pretty much a dungeon crawler anyway. You go through, although it's categorized as a bit of open world, it is and it isn't. Once you're in, obviously there is
open areas
where you'll go around collecting stuff along the way from either monsters that you're try and cut down, and it's kind of got that Neo Automata stuff where you're collecting stuff, and even though it's crap, it's useful. Like you'll get to a home base and you can sell the stuff, and you've got to upgrade your equipment. So the equipment that you've got, it's equipment and magic stuff that you've got. Weapons. So the weapons are going to be one-handed swords, two-handed swords. You've got spears, two-handed hammers, bayonetta, rifles.
There's a rifle, yeah.
Yeah, there was black sabers and enduring crimson sabers. They have different names like that. They've got crimson longswords. There was, I think, just different types of hammers. Each weapon that you do collect will have stats towards them as well. So, like, you'll need to have go against some bosses, depending on what the boss throws at you. Depends on the weapon choice. Also, your equipment. So, like your blood vials, which is the armors essentially, which is what you'll need to collect as well. So blood vials is a type of armor. It's provides some protection, and it's gives you like gift potency of their wearers as well. So like you wear it. Obviously, that helps go against bosses. So like those stack against your weapons that you find. So there's certain weapon blood vials which protect players against, like there's cut, blunt, piercing, blood, fire, ice, lightning, things like that. Along as that with your weapon, you've got to go against certain bosses. I remember one of the bosses being a butterfly, so kind of creature. You're locked once you. Obviously, it's a boss fight, so once you're in the boss arena, you're locked in, and you can't progress on until you kill the bosses. And I think the first boss, like I said, is kind of a butterfly thing where she throws down attacks, some AoE, and there's also poison. So you need to make sure that you go into the fight. Now, I didn't know that at the start. I didn't know I needed to have anti-venom. But she throws down, like, I think, poisoning. So I go in and instantly die because why? I didn't. It doesn't really hold your hand. You kind of have to learn the world as well. You have to learn the bosses. It does play along the same tropes as any sort of Souls-like. You learn the boss fights, you learn the movements. It came out before Elden Ring. A lot of people were saying it was going against all the Dark Souls that were out there at the time, like some of the boss designs. So many people were saying that they were much better designs. But again, it was back in the day, back in 2019. I have not played Elden Ring to compare it to today's standards, so it might have lost. Well, for me, I lost. I lost my controller a few times. Rage quitting. It was a thing. It was a very frustrating game. I went through one of the very first caves that you go through. There's some very thin ledges. If you fall off the ledge, you die and have to restart. And it's the same with any sort of Souls, like if you kill once you can kill everything in the area, but once you reload that area again, everything spawns back in. So you've got to go through that whole process again. I went through a lot of areas where I had no health and had to try and kill something as best I could with the weapons I've got. Once I'd learned a little way later, once I'd learned what the bosses did, or what some of the enemies just being killed by just the main basic enemies was so frustrating. There is obviously a crafting system to it where you upgrade your weapons or your blood vials, where you need to go to like the home base, as it were. And I don't mean the do-it-yourself store. I do mean the home base within the game. You go there, and it's speak to the NPCs around those areas, and I think some of them gave you quests as well, side quests.
They have quests. They give you weapons and stuff.
There was a. I'm sure there were other characters, NPCs that helped you as well. Within the world.
If you do their quest,
companions. It was companions. You have you meet first, like I said, Lo, and then Lewis comes along. Those code vein companions can go with you, and there are, I think, 7. Yes, there are 7 companions that you can choose from. You can only choose one at a time. This game heavily relies on having someone with you. What I found very frustrating was going into a boss fight and running out of health, and your companion can give you health, but he usually gives it to you just as you die. It's like, I don't need it now. I don't need it now. I'm dead. That was the most frustrating thing about this game, was the AI was useless. Unless you had a thing where you could send up, like in Monster Hunter World, for instance, you could send up a flare, and that would post the quest for other players on, because it's an online. You had the online aspect to it as well. So people could see a message saying that you needed help. They will. It had its own sort of flare system, if you like. Is the point I was getting to. So people would come in now, unless they DC'd, or unless they quit. You're never certain to get. It was always better to have a friend, at least. When I started playing this, I never had friends who had the game or was available to play at the same time. So I had to rely on randoms to come into the game, which is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
If someone DCs, you're in the middle of a boss fight alone. There's one or two things could happen. You'll get someone who is well advanced in the game and is helping you, but they advance so far ahead that you can't keep up. And it's like, mate, I don't know what I'm doing because it's new. I've asked for your help and you've run off. The other side of it is that you'll still be a newbie, but you'll still be better than someone else. So then you'll be the one trying to carry. I can't carry you because I'm still learning. So that was the other side of it. You had either an experienced player or a player who didn't know the game. I was that player on both occasions. I was more experienced than some people, but less experienced than others. And I always felt myself in the middle. When I was calling for help, I'd always get someone who come in. And like I said, maybe they're DC or maybe they just quit. And you just go, I am not having the best time ever. And it was either that or you rely on the companions. So like I said, the companions were useless.
The AI was broken.
The AI was awful in this.
Yeah,
it was the worst kind of AI. Like I said, the game is designed to have player help you. So when you're asking for that help, you didn't get it. If you went in with a companion, which is obviously the NPCs that help you, the companions that help you, didn't really help you either. So I would get to it. It was frustrating.
Some companions were better than others, but
some were better than others, depending on what you was going to face.
What
their weapons of choices would help along the way. But I think because you only at the start you only get 2 options, and then you have to unlock the areas to unlock other companions along the way. Like I said, there's 7 altogether. Now, as far as I understand, there is 3 endings to this, or 4. There might have been 4 endings. I'm not sure. There were summoners, I think, which is like the bosses that you'll face in the world. If you managed to save, I think 5 summoners, it gave you the best ending. If you saved a few, I think you only needed to save 5 out of I'm not sure how many bosses there were. There might have been about sort of 17 or 18 bosses overall. I can't remember. But I think if you saved the summoners, if you saved 5 of them, that would give you the best ending. If you saved maybe 3, I think it gave you a mediocre ending. But if you didn't save any, that was the worst ending. I think that was the ending I got because I don't remember getting any further than that. I don't remember saving any because it was just so broken. Yeah. It was fun to start with, and I enjoyed playing some elements of it, but because of the progression in it and because of the lack of
map design as well,
map design was terrible. Awful. That map design.
You get locked so easily, and then you end up running into loads of mobs and die, and where the fucking end up.
So bosses. There were
bosses are cool in this game. Bosses are cool. I thought
22 collectively. There was 22 bosses. I've just counted them. Sorry, you might have heard me sort of muttering, but I just counted the Code Vein bosses. There were 22 bosses. And I replayed 4 of them 3 times because of how the game's design was so bad. Like when it asked you to help, I need to do this. I need to do this. No one helped, or they left midway through. So I had to restart. It's like I said, you can't progress. You couldn't progress any further until you have beaten that boss. Because once you've beaten that boss in that arena, it'll open up the exit. The exit would always be the same way you came in, from what I remember. I think the like I said, that first, or that might have been the second boss, Butterfly of Delirium. I can't speak then. Delirium. There we go. I've slowed down my speech. She was very they're all kind of unique in their own right. They were, as Freddie just pointed out, they were very good boss fights. They were very good design of bosses. Not always good boss fights is what I meant to say. Yeah, I did like 4 of them 3 times just because you can't progress on any further, and it's like I couldn't rely on my NPC to help me, or I couldn't rely on a player coming in and helping me. Like I said, either I got carried or I had to try and carry someone who was less experienced than I was, and it was like more the latter of the two sometimes. And it was like, well, if I'm doing it on my own, I might as well just try and do it on my own. So I got as far as I could. It was so many quests to do. There are, I think, 6, 7. I think there's about 8 or 9 quests. And each quest had about 3 or 4 different missions in each area. So you progressed on that way. Yeah, that's my spotlight. I'm not going to go too much into it because, like I said, it's a Souls-like. It's the same. It's got the same sort of tropes as any other Souls-like. Get your weapon, level it up. Get your armor, level it up. Make sure that the weapon and the armor are matched to the boss that you're about to fight. I can't really say any much more on it because I'm going to get too too annoyed with it. The best thing about the game was the character creation on it. That's the best thing about the game. And I lost probably an hour in that, and yeah, I can't speak too much on it because I'm going to lose it. It was the best of the worst.
Yeah, it should have been better. It should have been better. It really does suffer from the old trope where gameplay loop becomes extremely boring.
Yeah,
like I was talking about earlier in Iratus, it becomes very tedious, and the fact that the game is buggy, the map design is bad, the AI partner sometimes will just fall through the floor or get stuck in the wall, which happens to be quite a few times.
Yeah.
And as I say, the players getting disconnected as well, which is a lot of them, or they leave, which is they're either, like I say, they're either too powerful or they're not strong enough to help you in the areas you're in. So you either get a brand new player or you'll get someone who's done it like a million times. They come in and one shot everything, and you're like, well, what? That's not really helpful to me, because I still need to learn how to fight and do stuff. And then sometimes the bosses will bug out. They'll get stuck in animations. They'll get stuck in the wall. The camera as well is also quite bad sometimes. And it's the old adage of like there's potential there, but the game does become very sort of monotonous to a point where unless you're playing through with a friend, the game you probably won't enjoy it. And even then, the co-op is like the second player or whoever the co-op player is doesn't get any weapons or any gear or anything. It's literally just following you around to help you out.
Yeah.
So they won't get any story progression or anything in there at that end. They will just only one player one will get story progression, and that'll be it. It's not like Elden Ring now where you get loot and you get progression for both sides. It carries over like all the runes you get, all the XP you get. In Code Vein, once you die, if you happen to die again, that's the same thing with every Souls game. But the thing is with Code Vein, I'd die and then I wouldn't be able to find where I died to get my runes back.
Yeah.
So the map design is one of the things that hurts this game the most, especially when there's no map half the time because you've got to find those little things to activate the map area. So you're literally wandering around with no idea where to go. And because the game heavily relies on the map for you to know where to go, you end up running around in circles for ages, and that's what ends up killing the game for me, is the amount of time you waste just running around trying to find the right way to go. And then eventually you run out of heals because you run into too many mobs. Because there's always one room every few rooms that has a million mobs in it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god, really? More mobs? And then there'll be some stupid mini boss in the square as big as my hand, and you got to fight it, and it's like, can't even move in here. And it's just like your AI companion will run in, get stuck, and then the thing will just one shot both of you, and then you have to restart. So it's very, very tedious game.
It is.
It's worth picking up if you know someone who has it, and you can get it on the cheap, and you can play for it cooperatively. But please bear in mind that you will not progress together. You'll have to go back and forth, and do it that way. But the game has its moments where it's really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the most enjoyable part for me is anime titties. That's about the best bit. But I'm a big anime fan anyway, so all that anime trope, I think is funny. Every anime game has to have the waifu bait, and they'll have to compensate. They'll have some dude who's got more muscles and muscles in some location and be like, "I could be." It's always the same. So it's very tropey in that regards. Whereas the if you watch anime, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It tries to please. This game tries to please everybody in terms of the souls area, and ends up pleasing no one because it falls short on almost every aspect apart from the graphical fidelity and the character design and waifu bait. That's the three things it's got going for it. But other than that, it is the story of tonight. Games are disappointing. Games are disappointing from 2019, 2020.
So my spotlight today is Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, let's do it. I can rant about it.
You can on Steam. You can get this as a demo. I went back briefly just to sort of remind myself, give myself a refresher on the demo. Like I said, I can't remember if I mentioned it. I might have stopped myself and then went on to something different. But I remember going through that cave system and then literally rolling out of the way and falling off a bloody ledge. And that's what I was like, damn it. And then that you die, you have to restart. There is checkpoints. No, never jumped off a cliff into a dark cave. No, into a canyon.
Yeah.
On Steam, it is currently $39.99. I don't think it's worth it now. Not this far down after 3-4 years down.
No.
On CD keys, it's $10.99. If you want to, just letting you know, if you want to, it's a fun play to. Fun game to play with, like in bits and pieces, but literally because of I would imagine that the player base has now dropped off this, so they're probably
that's how nobody plays it.
Yeah, so I would
Elden Ring.
So I wouldn't expect anyone to help you live. So you will probably have to rely on your broken NPC.
Cheat engine.
Cheat engine, yeah, okay.
Use that to win every time. No.
I will say that this was, I think it still is, I'm not sure, on Game Pass, and I downloaded it.
No, it came off Game Pass a little while ago.
Okay, so
it was on there for a year and a half, and then they decided to put it from, because nobody was playing it, they decided to put it from the past.
When it was on Game Pass, I did download it and try it. And I'm telling you, in the first 30 minutes, I couldn't be bothered to play it. something about it just didn't click with me, and I was like, nah.
It's a very bland world in some places. It's very grey and black and white and just not in a good way. It's like the palette. Even the enemies are pale grey, and it's for an anime game. A lot of the locations are devoid from colour and presentation. Even though the character models are really good, I would say. Yeah, I would argue that the character models are really well designed. The bosses are well designed. The characters are well designed. They had put as much effort into the world as the character development and the character designs. The game would be a lot better. But I can understand that the first impressions, if you don't go past the opening couple of hours, it's like this is boring. This is very drab, dreary, and that my companion's a twat. He just got stuck in the wall over there. I can't bother to play this now. So it's pretty much the early impressions are like, that's it. You're done. You're not going to come back to it. And that's I think it's a shame really that happens to a lot of players.
Yeah.
It should have been. I could say it should have been better. Should have been better.
The
anime waifus deserve better.
Do better. We want anime boobies.
Anime titties. Anime titties. I'm not had a drink, so I'm fine.
No, I don't think so.
I think well that pretty much sums up Code Vein, really, doesn't it? Just it's waifu creation, waifu bait with poor AI.
The poor execution,
yeah, poor execution. It's very promising, but poor executed.
Yeah. below
Poorly
average.
executed.
Executed,
Game.
yeah.
Do not buy, do not play unless you want to
Do
talk
not
to
spend
yourself.
40 quid on this
Don't
game,
no,
please.
don't
For the love
spend
of
40
God, do
quid
not.
on it, but it's worth.
No.
I think $10.99 is still worth.
I think
like,
a tenner's fair pay.
so yeah, CD keys is the way forward on that one.
Yeah.
To get the full game and just download it, play it.
Try it out.
Try it
like
out.
Anime waifus. It's not terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
It's just not as good as it should have been. It's not like bad. It's not. I wouldn't say it's bad. I'll say it's average. Like there's a few good points in the game, and there's a few good bits. But the bugs aside and the characters and all that, the monotonous stuff around it. And I'm sorry, stealing a thunder there, Steve.
That's right.
It's.
I agree.
It's what you get. What you get. What you're looking for. You get. If you like an anime game and you're not too bored about like an inferior Souls-like experience, and you like the anime waifus and you like the anime style storyline and you like the over-the-top theatrics from the bosses and stuff, do have a good time with this. But you have to be prepared to play it on your own. And don't expect much from the companions unless there's a mod out there that fixes it. There might be. I know there is modding for this game because I've seen a few particular companions on this game come up on my feed when I used to follow it and I used to play it back in the day. There's a few mods and stuff that improve the camera. So you can mod it and basically improve the performance. But bear in mind that you will never be able to play your multiplayer because your modded game won't work. So just bear that in mind if you go down that route. But $10.99 definitely worth a punt if you like anime girls and boys and Dark Souls-ish games. But don't expect anything other than average from this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think that pretty much sums up what I brought to the table. Yeah. There you go. Code fee.
Hey.
So yeah, I think with Beth not having a spotlight this week, unless you've thought of one, Beth, no. Okay, so then we could probably move on to some news or gaming releases or something that might be coming out soon.
Well, I know you said you was going to talk about it, Steve, but I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in with this one. Goalkeeper has been a surprisingly smash hit on Steam. 250,000 copies sold. And I was looking at this actually because we like to co-op here on the Bits and Pieces podcast afterwards, and the three of us usually play like every game together, more or less. It looks like a good punt for a co-op game. It's basically Stardew Valley meets Terraria, meets Valheim, meets cute characters, anime style, sort of. They're sort of more like my Minecraft characters to me, and they look extremely. It looks extremely fun. The developers have absolutely flabbergasted by how much it's sold. Obviously, the big streamers have been playing it. You've got like Carnage has been playing the living daylights out of it, so that majorly boosted its profile. I think.
Yes.
Obviously, that the number or one of the biggest. Well, I wouldn't say best. He's one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. Has thrown his hat into the ring because a guy just plays everything, like literally non-stop playing the latest games that come out. I looked at this and it came out on my feed of Steam does that recommended games list. And it came up and then I was like, never gonna play that. Who's gonna play that with me? I thought it looks really kiddie and that, but no, it's really good. I've been looking into it. It looks really good. It looks really good fun. Certainly looks like a lot better than Valheim. Yeah. Dukeheim. It's disappointing games of the years. The previous old games. Right. Anyway, so Goalkeeper is Goalkeeper is definitely worth keeping an eye on. If it's 20, is that how much? Is $23.99, $22.99? It might be cheap on CD keys.
Yeah, it might be. I actually purchased it today.
Oh, it's $10.99.
$10.99. Yes, it's $10.99.
I'm going to buy this after the podcast.
It's $10.99.
Okay, that's a bargain. All right, so for very positive reviews on Steam out of 5,000 odd reviews so far, and it's very, very highly rated. So if you like build 'em ups and community-based, story-based games, and something is actually built around co-op, as far as I'm aware, which is why it's so popular. Because Stardew Valley had co-op added to it, didn't it? Later on. So this has come with co-op flying out the gate. And as co-op's been really big in gaming recently. This co-op's been like the go-to for a lot of companies now that including co-op pretty much everything. And if the game doesn't include co-op, I'm like, well, I'll probably skip that.
It makes it more fun.
Yeah, unless it's like your Horizons and your God of Wars, like proper in-depth single player experience, the Mass Effect, that sort of in-depth single player game. I would usually pick co-op over the single player experience because now I've got awesome friends to play with. So I'll be like, let's get this game, let's get this game, let's get this game, and be like, no, crap. and then I'll buy it anyway, and then I'll talk people into getting it, like I did a little while ago.
Alien.
It wasn't me. But anyway, moving on. So yes, this is done really well. So let me give you a little synopsis, or what's the word I'm looking for? The summary of the game. There we go. So my brain is not functioning.
Oh, don't worry. I had that moment as well.
Yeah.
I always have these moments every day. Right. It's in Core Keeper, you find yourself trapped underground in a massive, generated network of caverns have been summoned there by a mysterious core, powerful yet dormant piece of ancient technology. You start picking away at walls, Minecraft, to dig tunnels and collect resources, chop trees, as it's Minecraft the game, build a. It actually reminds me of what's it called? There's another Minecraft ripoff on the PlayStation, and it's exactly the same, but it's I can't think of what it's called.
Terraria.
Not that one. There's the other one. Portal Knights.
Portal Knights. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
Portals.
Something like that. I think it's one. I think that's the name. It reminds me of that, where you get to summon in and there's cores and stuff. You've got to build the portals and anyway. So collect your bases. You create a farm, underwater pods of fishing. So it's pretty much the same as Stardew Valley, where your character walks in. And then you start mining stuff or collecting stuff, and then you build their base, and then you expand it with content, talking to NPCs, finding recipes in the game, and obviously I think there's a lot more combat in this game. I think compared to combat focus. Oh, you get the trailer up. Hang on.
I think you're right. There is. I just had the trailer running myself, so yeah, it's pretty damn. It looks damn fine. Now, like I said, I've already installed it. I've got it on my hard drive already.
I'm going to download it after this. I think after this is done.
I tried to get a key off Keymailer, so maybe, but
yeah, I asked for a key off Keymailer as well.
Yeah, I wish I
might be able to.
I like the art style. It reminds me of Super Nintendo type graphics.
It gives me Stardew Valleys, and I love that. Like I've been yearning for a game like Stardew again, and this kind of looks like. We should definitely
play that co-op at some point. Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
I've not played that co-op. We should definitely do that at some point. Anyway, so so I've got the trailer running. So it looks pretty fun actually. It looks very cutesy, very fun, sort of casual. My cup of tea really, not too serious. But I always have serious elements, and it's like a drop in, drop out kind of game. Play as much as you can, and then come back to it when you feel like playing it. And it's one of these games that just a good time sink. I imagine this, if anything like Stardew Valley, it will reward your time invested. It looks really good. I think the devs are doing a good job, and I'm quite surprised how well it's done. But there is a demand for these sort of games now. These sort of cooperative, community-based games. I mean, Valheim started the trend with 10-player co-op. Even though I think Valheim with a massive group of us would be amazing. But 1 or 2 players or 3 players, you might as well just eat glass. You'd have more fun doing that than playing Valheim 2 or 3 players. It just takes too long to do anything. So as long as this doesn't have you require 400 bricks to build blah blah blah, then it should be fun. I'm hoping it doesn't have that's one thing I hated about Stardew Valley was to upgrade your house. You needed 4 billion bits of wood, 4 billion bits of stone, and you had to go and get specific things from the mines to get weapons and build stuff. So I'm hoping it doesn't have that sort of stumbling block. Don't mind farming, obviously, it's not a problem. But when they make it excessively, a bit too excessive, that's when I'm like, what's the cheat engine? Let's look up how much infinite resources are. Just cheat a little bit and then ruin the game. But it's definitely worth checking out. It looks fun. Definitely worth looking at. And so that's 250,000 units and growing. And we'll see how well that does, because it could even make or break that game. Because sometimes when an early access game gets a massive influx of players and money, they invest it and it goes tits up. Looking at you, and it goes, and it doesn't go to plan. Am I picking on? Yeah, I don't mind picking on Ghost Hunter Corp. Damn you, Ghost Hunter Corp, jumping on the anyway. I'm this is like this Andy rant cast right now. This is not Andy moans about everything. Sorry. Anyway,
cast of Pizza Beth.
Yeah, that's it.
And Steve on the side.
Yeah. I've taken over now. It's my show. No,
it's interesting. Don't you think it's interesting that it's coming out at a time when so many people have just played like a big AAA game that is Elden Rings, and yet it's grown quite massively in such a short span of time, and this is at a fraction of the cost of Elden Ring. I was on the verge of getting Elden Rings, and I see this, I'm like, do you know what? $10.99 or $49.99. Yeah. I'm gonna go with the cheapest, because it's cheaper, but it looks more fun. It is. I mean, you're comparing it to you're comparing sticks to stones, isn't it? But like one's early access online cooperative pixelated graphics game. The other one is Core Keeper. No, I'm joking. One of this is Elden Rings. So obviously, but no, so you've got Elden Rings, which is still doing the rounds. It's still massive. Yeah. It's still out there. I can't turn on Twitch without seeing someone playing another.
No, everyone's playing it.
Part 15 of my playthrough, and then part 58 of my playthrough of it, and you think, but this is now coming out, and it's. I'm not saying, like, obviously the numbers are going to show differently, and obviously Elden Ring's big, it's massive, and it is a much more bigger game, and it's from From Software's game, but this looks like it is completely different, and it's chalk and cheese. It's like they're completely opposite ends of the scale.
Sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was gonna say, some people just like that casual experience, like just getting a couple of friends together, jumping into the game, and just
sitting in your front room with a couple of mates, a couple of cans, and then just sort of like just chilling out.
Yeah.
This is one of definitely, like, you could just jump in and just chill out. You could easily have a bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna get it at some point, because I'm gonna
get it. I reckon that'd be well fun for us to play.
Yeah.
Even on single player, it looks like it'd be a good time.
Yeah, definitely. I might run this tomorrow as a game.
So right, I'm just gonna. There is something I wanted to talk about, actually.
Yeah.
Come to light. I've just seen a post. This reminded me of something I read yesterday. Saw yesterday. Lots of videos about. It's the fall of Square Enix. Massively, in terms of quality content and quality games. Now, we all know that they made the Final Fantasy series. Most of it has been successful. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Interguard has literally made them millions. But then they come out and bring out Chocobo Racer, which people were looking forward to, which is a remake of an old PS1 game, and it's literally fallen flat on its arse with microtransactions. So you've got, it's literally, as soon as you load it, this game's 50, 60 quid, right? Yeah. You load it in, we get a trailer up. You know what I'm talking about.
Damn microtransactions. Get out of here.
Right. So what game, right.
I'm just getting the trailer up.
Okay. Let's have a look at this, because this is going to be... I'm going to see what trailer he's got up there.
So the game is a remake. It's a remaster of sorts. Where the Chocobo Racer is, you can pick various cutesy characters. You know how the chibi Final Fantasy 7 characters looked and how they looked in the PS, like that sort of chibi style. That's the style they've gone for. They're trying to emulate Mario Kart, and there's locations from around the games, mostly Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8. And the game was a breath of fresh air. People loved the original, and they were looking for it was a small fan base, but it was a dedicated fan base, and they were looking forward to the remake announced on the Switch. Now the Switch, we all associate the Switch with family-friendly games. Not really monetized content, not really that sort of areas. It's sort of explored on the Nintendo. Now this game literally hits you with a Game Pass as soon as you load it in the game. They lock Cloud behind a level 60 Game Pass, and it's like to get to level 60. I think it's about 150 hours of grinding. Someone worked it out.
Oh my
Which is just ridiculous. They nickel and dime sort of every part of the game itself. So all the unlockables, all the skins, all the characters, all have unlockable traits for their carts and vehicles, and you can just buy a lot of it. If you try to grind your way to unlocking it, again, another 100 hours plus for each character that someone works out.
Yeah.
Roughly, give or take. And the game's literally, the fans are up in arms with it. Square Enix is in a lot of trouble with their monetizations, and they just don't care. Square Enix have come out and said that, so we don't give a monkeys, don't buy them then. That's the old adage, you don't have to buy them. You can grind it, you can get it for free. Just because you can get something for free doesn't mean it's achievable. I hate this notion where it's free.
Yeah.
Only if you spend half your life grinding for it. I don't see that time is valuable to a lot of players, a lot of gamers. Like me, like yourselves. We game when we can in our spare time. When we get a chance to game, we usually spend it on games we enjoy or like. So if we're going to try something new, the last thing we want to be kitted with, here's a pay wall, here's a grind wall. There you go. There's a 6. You can't get a refund because most digital purchases don't give you a refund once you've opened the product. So if you don't know anything about it other than it's a Chocobo Racer. Oh, I used to have that. I'll get that. That's probably a really good game without knowing nothing about it. And you log into it, and then you get all that crap. Most people are going to go, yeah, sod that, and quit.
Yeah.
And then they can't get a refund because they've opened the product. Which is the curses of digital goods. But Square Enix, what are you doing?
They're in a weird place, aren't they?
They're going downhill. They've gone downhill. This isn't the only time they've sort of butchered games as well. There is some other stuff that I wish I had it. I wish I saved it now. But this leads me on to the other release that's came out this week, Stranger of Paradise. Did you see that come out?
I saw that. I was watching.
Stranger. Right, so the game is a game on the console. Very good. It's done quite well. It's better than most people thought it'd be. For a hacker slash sort of Souls-like on the theme of tonight, the Souls-like genre. It's either you can make it a Souls-like by scaling the difficulty up, or you can make it a casual game by scaling the difficulty down, or it gives you more HP, more chance to revive, and there's other stuff it gives you on casual mode, which is fair enough, like that sort of accessibility option. But the game has been ported to PC, and as always with PC games, we get the crap ports.
Yeah.
We get the ports that just don't work, and once again Square Enix are like, hey, ported it, it's fine, and everyone's like, no. So the game is like in a poor state of affairs. I'm not sure if this video showcases that. There's a video on this website here playing some gameplay, and he's basically he's complaining about it, but it seems to be visual glitches. There seems to be a few first person FPS issues, and tons of other sort of glitches and bugs and things that just not lining up properly. Obviously, the game is made for consoles. You can't tell me otherwise. It's made for consoles. PC is always an afterthought of these sort of releases, especially when it's announced on console before PC. Usually, a PC game will be, if it's on the PC specifically, it will be announced on PC first before it says then coming to consoles, blah 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 later on down its life cycle. We don't really get that anymore. It's usually either release as and when at the same time, or we get ports like this. And again, this just annoys the crap out of me. where they have performance issues and all sorts of things. Don't they play test any of these games before they release them? It's the old adage in it, they don't do anything properly. They rush it out the door, and then they wonder why people complain about it and get fed up when they've pre-ordered it and they try to play the game on their rig. And usually, most people will have a rig on PC. They usually know that the requirements of their game will meet it. I don't think there's anybody I know that has a PC who goes, well, I don't know what my specs are, I don't know what to run, I'll just buy it and see if it works. I don't think I've spoken to anybody that has a PC that doesn't know a little bit about their computer setup and what their computer can run or not. Even like because most people will buy a mid-range PC, right? Most PC, unless you're like a super rich man that can buy like the 3-4 grand PCs that will run like everything, including the planet. There's usually just like these base PCs that are mid-range will run most stuff 1080p high, good frame quality. I run everything in 1080p now because it runs better, and so I don't see the need in running 4K stuff when it still looks just as crispy on 1080p on my monitor. But if you've got 4K, you usually get that performance dip on the PC where it uses too much RAM unless you've got the RAM to compensate for it. So again, most people will play on 1080p, hence the people who are annoyed with the frame rate problems because you're playing on 1080p, medium settings most of the time, and you're getting 10 frames per second. That's usually really bad in terms of it's usually the game that does that. It's not usually the PC that does that. And most people's rigs will run 1080p medium settings, like especially if you bought anything in the last 5 years, it will run that no problem. So you can understand why people get fed up when they purchase a PC game or a port of a PC game and you get tank frame rates and crappy running and stuff that doesn't happen. The one thing that annoys me the most is pop-in textures. That irritates the literal crap out of me in video, and I can see it in this now. The pop-in textures is always I like pointing at this, but it's the worst culprit for it for me is Cyberpunk. You literally just run through like PS1 graphics, and then it pops in, and you drive past, and it pops out again, and it just completely takes you out of the world.
Oh my god!
It's not immersive at all, and it's like, what am I playing here? What's happening? And the floor disappears, and then it's like it comes grey, and it comes back in again. I'm like, what? I can understand why everyone's like, what? So it's not good enough. These companies. And because Square Enix isn't the only one, Ubisoft is taking the mickey as well now. With some of its releases, a lot of its releases. In fact, the last time I played a good Ubisoft game was it wasn't Assassin's Creed Origins. It was the one after that, Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the last one I really enjoyed.
It was Origin then Odyssey.
Yeah, so Odyssey was after Origins. Origins was good, but I think Odyssey sort of nailed it on the head for me.
Odyssey was
and although it had the microtransactions and all that other crap shoved in your face, you could still play the game more or less without any of that stuff. It didn't take as long, but they did try to sort of circumvent XP grind, but they changed it a little while later after feedback from customers, because that's what we are. We're customers. We're not irrelevant people. We're giving money to you for your product, and then if anything, you buy anything from a shop and you get an inferior product that doesn't work properly, you're going to be like, hang on a minute, this cost, it doesn't matter what it costs. It could be £1 to 50 quid. If it's not fit for purpose, it shouldn't be sold as at full retail price. So if you, as a company who's selling you a product for money, they have an obligation to make sure that product works.
It's almost like buying a chocolate bar without the chocolate in the wrapper.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're expecting a chocolate bar. When you open it, there's nothing in there.
Yeah. A nice shiny wrapper, looks good. Yeah, it looks really tasty. You open it, it's cardboard. Yeah. Exactly. That's a very good analogy. I like that one. That's exactly what these companies are doing. They're making a nice shiny little packet. Around the edges, just a little bit of chocolate to just entice you in, and then once you get into the meat of it, there's no chocolate to be found. It's gone, and you've got cardboard and plastic, and
we got duped.
Yeah, exactly. We got Dunzo big time. So Square Enix is literally going through the ringer right now on Twitter and across the internet. Is this the beginning of the end for this company? When Blizzard shot itself in the foot
They're going they're going the wrong way completely.
They're definitely
and they're
not.
continuing to, and I don't know.
It's not acceptable.
It's not. It's not.
So
We
yeah,
expect more, but
we
they're
expect,
not.
in the words of Kratos, don't be sorry, be better.
Yeah.
That's
Don't be
100%.
sorry. Be better.
Yeah, that's what
That's our message.
Yeah, exactly. Company's been around a long time. We don't want to see it. We don't need another Ubisoft. We don't need
No.
another Blizzard. We don't need
No.
another Activision. We want Square Enix to stay Square Enix and stop all this. Don't start doing microtransactions and nickel and
Yeah.
dime in your fan base, because then you won't have a fan base to nickel and dime. Apart from the hardcore whales that don't care about any of it, who'll just spend their money regardless. Either
Yeah.
way, they're going to get their money, but the majority of people will abandon it and be like, "Yeah, we don't care about whatever game you bring out now."
It won't be like true fans in a way. It'll just be people who have the money and they know they can get what they want, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I like that game. I'm just gonna spend a load of all my money on it." Everyone's like, "Oh no, that's a crap game," but it's just, I don't know. It's just, yeah, no, it's not good. Stop it, games, AAA.
Yeah.
Like, that's why people want to play games like Corp Keeper, because it's not, all the big AAA games are not doing that great at the moment, Like, of course, Elden Ring, that's an exception. But yeah, it's an
They get just the thing that just a parallel. Square Enix are trying to jump on the bandwagon from a few years ago when EA did it of all their games, and Blizzard. They're a bit late in the day, aren't they? It's not 2017 anymore. We got the microtransactions. Further was everywhere, and a lot of games these days they generally shy away or move away from that unless it's a free to play game. But a paid £60 game with free to play mobile elements shoved in your face the moment you log into the game. That's just who signed that off? What idiot went, "It's a really good idea, that is. We can get loads of money from these players." Yeah, I'm guessing most of your player base is in their 40s and ain't stupid. They're not going to be like, "Yeah, we don't know how to read. We don't know what any of this means. Let's give them 60 quid. Sod it. Let's give them another 60 quid for the fun of it. We'll support the game. We'll support the developers." No, it doesn't happen. And it's just, I can't believe that another big company is going to the dark side. Another big name falling off the cliff of incompetence is just like, don't these people learn their lesson? Don't they listen to anybody or any feedback anywhere? Are they so up their own arse? They're like, "We don't give a monkeys about whatever you say. We'll just do what we want. Ha 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 ha. Screw your money. We don't want it. La 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 la." I mean, it's why? What is the matter with them? I just you look at it's just, there's money to be made there in a good way, and you're just intent on not having any of it. I think that's the way I would say that back to them. What are you doing? You're just completely clueless. And speaking of clueless,
just off topic. Just thanks, Steve. I just want to say that. Okay, you carry on now. We don't.
You can save that till
go
afterwards.
Yeah.
Be happy. Right. Anyway. So, speaking of games taking a Mickey, Fortnite.
Hey, we're back on that.
I'm out.
I'm out. Right. I'm just going to make myself tea from India.
Can I just say,
I've been gone some time.
The reason I mention this is because they're literally grabbing every IP known to man that's ever been made, and now they've got Doctor Who coming to Fortnite.
Oh no, please don't.
Right. So you imagine this lineup: you've got Doctor Who, Aliens, Terminator, Rocky, The Rock, Naruto, Rick from Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah.
Power Rangers, Chun-Li and Ryu. They're all going to be fighting each other with guns. It's
ridiculous.
Next is going to be the Teletubbies. What is going on?
Yeah.
Like, they usually introduce something because of promotion. What are they promoting with Doctor Who? Like, is it 60 years or something? I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with. Like, is that the only reason, or did they just decided that's the franchise they want to go with because they haven't got it?
Next they're gonna take.
I mean, what next? We've got, because we've had Marvel, we've had everything, we've had every franchise, haven't they? They've covered everything.
They're going to do Harry Potter 100%.
Oh, they've got. Why? Well, they have to now. I think
they
are
going to do Harry Potter. I know they are. I know they are.
What do we not have?
Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter.
From software characters.
Ghostbusters. I'm about to say Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters are in it.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters are in it. Yeah,
Ghostbusters have been done.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. But to be clarified, BBC don't own Doctor Who anymore. It's actually owned by Sony. Sony bought the rights off Doctor Who. Doctor Who is still licensing it and publishing it, but Sony actually bought the rights off of them to try and fix the. I know it's not game related. They're trying to fix
it's the bridge gap for America as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So and they're trying to fix the agenda that BBC tried to push in it and completely ruined their ratings and products and money coming in. So this is trying to get some money for the, disappearing franchise. And the only thing I loved about Doctor Who was David Tennant. His tenure as Doctor Who was my favourite.
Yeah.
I can agree with that, but that's not a reason to go out and play Fortnite.
No, don't play Fortnite. It's awful. It's just money grabbing nonsense, and it's so nonsensical. They try to explain in a way that anyone that comes to an island loses their memory and has to fight for survival. But they all remember how to use a gun and jump and talk to everybody, but they don't remember where they are
and know how to read a blueprint.
Yeah, exactly, and how to build. Oh, it's just ridiculous. The whole thing's just bloody. Can't stand it.
I just don't.
Oh, please.
It's too. I don't want to. That's not getting into.
Right. So
go on.
Just to clarify, you sad bunch of gits getting bloody Doctor Who into Fortnite. What Doctor Who fans are going to go? This is Fortnite. I can get in the TARDIS for real. And go, no.
They're aiming it for kids. Like it's
Alien. Sorry, just wanted to mention Alien. They're aiming at kids. Alien.
Okay. Yeah. I don't understand their logic. I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense.
Predator's in it. What kid is going to play Fortnite for Predator? Honestly,
soon they're gonna add Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees.
I wouldn't put it past them, honestly. I probably
the Halloween special that hasn't already happened.
Yeah, Evil Dead will be in it at some point. Ash will be in it.
Yeah, he will
from the series show.
God.
Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo's in it.
Rambo's in it.
Rambo's in it. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Every IP you can name.
Don't play that. Sorry.
No. It's awful. Just don't. Just everyone who plays Fortnite, just stop playing it. It's awful. Just stop supporting it. It's terrible.
When they start scraping the barrel, it'll be the co-stars from the Bits and Pieces podcast.
I think Doctor Who was scraping the barrel, wasn't it? What crappy IP can we throw this in now? Doctor Who's fallen off a cliff. Let's grab that one.
Let's make it more. Yeah, let's try to make things
vibrate with our game, because our game is so popular and everyone loves it. Like no one hates it.
It's like Marmite, isn't it? You either love it or you hate it, but in most cases you hate it because it's just everywhere and just in your face.
I would rather reset Code Vein. I'd rather reinstall Code Vein and play through that.
Than
Fortnite. I'd rather rage. I would know. Like there's two types of rage quitting. There's Fortnite and then there's Code Vein. Code Vein I'd go back to. Fortnite I wouldn't. So
Yeah. I mean, like it's Fortnite. Like I'm bad at it. I will admit I'm bad at it, and that's one reason why I hate it. But I hate it just because of how money grabbing they are and stuff.
Yeah.
Just want to make that clear. They're gonna add Dark Souls.
I put a lot of time into Fortnite because my boy plays it. He loves it. He's really good at it. He plays all the arena modes, not the pro modes, but sort of pro mode, and he's exceptionally good at it. So I play with him sometimes, and the game is so easy. I can win on it. So it's not even a challenge. The game is so devoid of any sort of fun. It's just pew pew dead, pew pew dead, pew always dead, always dead. It doesn't. You
No.
don't even have to aim at them. If you've got a rocket launcher or any sort of AOE gun, they're dead immediately. So it's this. It's just. It's so boring. I don't understand why everyone loves it. It's just like why?
It's because like when you get into like a proper fight and people are building
God.
up and doing that, I just look at that and I'm like,
Guess what?
no, I don't want to be building
Yes.
while I'm trying to shoot
No,
someone.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Guess what I just read?
No.
What?
Doctor Strange is coming to Fortnite.
Oh no!
How much more milk, Marvel milk do you want?
Oh, they're gonna milk that Marvel cow till it's dry.
They're gonna add Mobius. I bet you, because the movie's gonna come out soon.
You're talking about having Sony as well. So yes, they've obviously got Spider-Man, and if they're going down the road of like anything,
they already got
Marvel,
a Marvel license.
Yeah.
They did the
so
X-Men and all
Carnage
that as
and Venom and all that.
Oh my God,
yeah. I mean, it has
Venom's
to be.
already in it. Venom's in it.
I don't know. I don't follow it. Obviously, I'm in the dark in these things.
Yeah, I forgot about that. To be fair, the entirety of Marvel was already in this game. They've been milking that cow for a couple of years now. Even The Rock is in it with his voice and everything. There is even a rumor that he's going to be in a Fortnite movie.
Oh my God!
There's not. Please, not a movie. Oh my.
Yeah, it's going to be in a movie.
Do not do that, Rocky.
Fortnite set.
Rock.
He's already in it. He's already signed the deal. He's already in it. It's already in the pipeline.
Dwayne,
no one knows about it.
Dwayne, no.
It'll be another flop.
You're doing so well.
Yeah, you're doing so well. Stick to Fast and Furious.
That's any better.
And a Fortnite, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, do Fortnite.
Oh
my days! Oh wow!
Right.
Balamori.
The borrowers. Put the borrowers in there. Let's put Mr. Bobby in there.
Okay, maybe.
The Simpsons. Done it. Futurama. The Tweenies.
Oh my God. Oh no.
Right, let's put the Wimbledons in there. Wombles of Wimbledon.
Oh God.
Fortnite.
We joke, yeah, but
we're joking about. We know it's gonna happen.
It'll be in
we
there.
all know that it's gonna
come.
It's gonna happen. It's like all the ones we've mentioned. I more than half are gonna be added. Like honestly, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, they've got
good laugh, isn't it? It's a good laugh. Good laugh at their expense.
Yeah.
Twitch streamers.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, they add like Ninja, aren't they?
Ninja.
Wait,
Well, I mean, I think they did do a Dr. Disrespect.
They did.
They did
Yeah,
that
they did.
already. So they've done because whilst he was on the Twitch platform, I caught one of his streams and he was in it. And for that reason, I'm surprised that no one else is in it. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm a rough.
Oh, yeah. Just with pixelated
with a horse mask.
Horse mask.
Running around like this.
Horse mask, but there's a pixelated banner going across the top of her chest. Just sort of prove that it's her. Oh dear. Oh no. She throws in a grenade, but in the shape of an underwear instead.
Oh God!
Incoming pants. Oh dear. Oh no, I'm joking, but it's true. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Oh no.
We all know it, and
we all know it.
It's scary.
It is scary. Oh dear.
Yeah. Anything? Can anyone top that?
No, I don't think we can top that.
I think that's a good note to round up on because I think there is some more news, but I don't think I can top the.
No, we can't top that. But yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
We should. Should we quit while we're ahead now?
Yeah, this is bye everyone.
Let's get out.
Old stuff.
We're out of here.
Oh, dear.
Nothing. Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything else they want to add to the podcast, or what? Or is that it?
I
think that's probably it, right?
Good, but we'll be here another hour if I start talking about something else.
Another hour talking about
I'll-
Fortnite.
Yeah, no.
No one wants
No.
to hear that.
No,
so.
no one wants to hear that. No, I'll be kicked off the podcast for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. I think that's it. There isn't much anything else happening other than Ghostwire Tokyo. Again, we mentioned last week as I will mention quickly that Prelude free to download visual novel game is awful.
Okay.
So if you want to, it's a Prelude. It's a sort of prequel to the game Ghostwire Tokyo. I streamed it the other day, but I got so bored I stopped it because I was just so
it
fed
is.
up with it.
It is available. I've already added it. It's Ghostwire, yeah, Tokyo.
Yeah,
I've added it
Tokyo.
to my wish list. It comes out for PC on the 25th of
a few
March.
days.
So it's only a few more
6
days. So I've added that. That will probably be my next purchase, I reckon. I kind of like what we see on the trailer.
Wait for some reviews.
It looks fun.
Yeah,
it looks good, but you know what they say about the assumptions.
Trailers.
I mean,
Can't trust trailers anymore.
Well,
yeah, I don't trust trailers.
No, of course not.
Plus, I want to get it on PC. So if it's like the other games that have come out on PC are like full flat on FPS, then
yeah, I'll be keeping my eye on that one.
Yeah, I want to make sure it runs properly first. Like, before I even part my way, because you know what Steam like with refunds. Play 1 second every 2 hours. No refunds for you.
No refunds.
No refunds. No, you deny.
One second.
Scrub. Get
over. Nope. No refunds.
Yeah. Is there any releases that's worth looking at other than that?
Starship Troopers. The RTS comes out on the 31st. I am going to get that. That looks really interesting. I can't wait to kill a bunch of bugs and have my brain sucked out for the fun of it. That's going to be awesome.
I've been getting home late recently, and as a relaxing thing, it's either play games or watch a movie. And movie was easier to do because I could just sit there and watch it rather than interact. I was watching Starship Troopers. And that's why, So I actually watched the first one recently. I have seen it. It's I think it was available on Prime. Also, just recently, while we're talking about movies, I know we are a gaming podcast, but but we're
talk about what you want.
I'm going to mention on just recently, Disney Plus have just launched the Alien franchise. That's all of it's there if you're available. If you're interested in that. So I watched
Covenant and all that.
Covenant, Prometheus, and all that. They're all there. Okay. It also ties in with some of the Predator stuff as well. I watched the first Alien film. I'm slowly progressing on. Through that.
Have you not watched them before?
Oh, I've watched them. Yeah, I've watched them tons of times. But it's just because it's now been launched on the Disney Plus channel. So because it's now on there.
Who would have thought it's on Disney?
Why not? So there is a segment there which is part of. There's a section on Disney Plus which is aimed at more of an adult viewing.
Yes, you can opt into it. You can opt into the adult bit. You just got to say, I want to watch the adult content.
So it's a lot of 70s, 80s, and early 90s and early 2000 stuff that came out. Yeah. Some of the old 80s stuff were really good, like Commando. You know, it's just action. It's popcorn.
My favourite films, that is. Cheesy action films.
Cheesy action films are the best ones from the 80s. I'm sorry, but they are. Where all the stunts were practical and not CGI.
Yeah,
and
the fist fights were well done. They didn't. In some of the films I've seen recently, not the super big budgets, but like I've watched a few TV movies where they've done an action sequence and they've done some fighting and their fists are like half a mile away from their face and they go flying for a wall and it's like what? It's just refreshing to see the old stuff. Is that they actually some of the scenes they actually get clocked proper. Especially if you watch, I can't remember the name of the film. It's Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee. What's the name of the movie? Is it the one? Is it the one with the tower? He goes up the tower.
Enter the Dragon.
What Jackie Chan?
No, not Jackie Chan. It's Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris.
Is it Enter the Dragon or?
I watched the interview with Chuck Norris, and in a couple of scenes he's talking about, where he gets absolutely clocked by Bruce Lee because he's too quick.
Those things.
Awesome.
Those things
really
happen.
cool. You actually see it in the film. where he's like, boom,
Oh.
and you see his jaws going, boom, and his like, spit goes everywhere. And it's like you could tell that wasn't scripted by the look in his face. He's like, so it's like it's quite cool when you see his old movies and you see stuff like that happen, and then they keep it in. There's most of the
Yeah, I
time
love that.
in the newer movies they'll just edit that out, or they'll retake it, or do it again, and you're getting sued because you hit him. You know,
Yeah.
you get that. But speaking of programs, Hitmonkey on
Oh, I watched all that.
Disney Plus, very very good. I
I
recommend
watched all
that.
that. Yeah.
It's very mature themes, very good, very enjoyable. I wasn't expecting that when I watched it. And I thought, I'll watch it, see if it's any good. I
Yeah.
watched the whole thing from start to finish in one night because I could
I
not
really
stop watching
enjoyed it
it.
myself as well.
Very very good, very very good show.
Yeah. Highly
Um,
recommend. Highly.
yeah, highly recommend. So I know we are predominantly a gaming podcast, but there's a bit of entertainment stuff.
Yeah.
If you have Disney Plus, that's definitely you're a Marvel fan and you want to watch some grown-up cartoons, definitely watch Hitmonkey. Another grown-up cartoon I watched the other day was the Boys. What's it called? Diabolical animated show. If you followed the Boys at all, it's a very good show, very good live action show, very good. I'm looking forward to season 3. So this is like a filler show. It's all animated, 10 stories, all different animated styles, and they're very different in terms of storytelling. But it's very very good. Some of them are really really dark, and some of them are really sort of on the cusp of being, they're quite not. The gore is there, so if you're very squeamish, do not watch it. But if you're not bothered by gore and animation gore and quite disgusting things that happen to people, then it's worth watching if you can start. They're about 12 minutes, 30 minutes an episode. I highly recommend if you like the animation. And the other one I will recommend as well is Invincible.
I've heard about that one.
Invincible, one of the best animated things you will ever watch, ever, anywhere. And I will stand by that. And if you don't like it, then come and tell me why, because you don't have a brain if you don't like it. It's amazing. But yeah, so that I would recommend that few snippets of Freely's recommendations there for you guys that like to watch stuff and don't have anything to watch. I could go into anime and stuff, but then we really will be here till midnight. So I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah. Games.
Yeah.
Games. What games? What are you talking about?
No, it's just it's actually good to hear something a little bit different. I thought that was well worth mentioning. Some of those keeps people. It's not just it is gaming, but it's entertainment as well.
Yeah, we could just add that on at the end of every show. A few personal recommendations. Yeah, just a few fiddly bits that you can watch at the end. Bits and pieces. Almost bits and pieces. Bits and pieces.
It is. It is.
It is. Bits is the games. Pieces is the movies.
Yeah. Don't forget to leave us a review and comment and like and all that stuff across all our social medias and all of the RSS feeds that you're listening on. Please leave a review. I know Steve mentions it every time we round up, but I'm going to mention it as well because we really need your help to grow. And in order to do that, we need your support. So if you really like listening to all of us waffle on about a load of nonsense, then please leave a review and nothing short of 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars.
Or I will.
We will find you.
Yeah.
I have a particular set of
you stepped right. You stepped in just at the right time, Beth. Wow, that's brilliant timing. I was about to.
Talk about. If you can't do it, we'll send Beth after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what I do love. Skills. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. Yeah, no, you beat me to it, but yeah, I'm brilliant.
Yeah, I beat you to it.
Right, yeah. But
see,
Beth,
we got similar wavelengths.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell that we bounce off each other a lot. Then, do you have a joke of the week?
Yes,
you do. Let's go, Beth's joke of the week.
Yeah. We've got to get an intro song for this, haven't we?
You ready? Are you ready? What do you call a fake noodle? An imposter. Pasta.
Right. There we go.
And pasta.
A round of applause. Well done.
All right.
Yay. Thank you, Beth. Right, let's do some socials. Where are people at? Are you streaming? Beth, are you going to be streaming anything this week, next week, sometime? And where can we find you?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I've been very busy lately,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure, but if I'll make it a goal to at least stream maybe next weekend.
Next weekend, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And where can we find you?
Twitch.tv/PizzaBear.
Hey,
That's
there we
where
go.
I am.
Freddie.
Outside your window if you don't comment or leave a review.
Yeah.
So you'll find me at www.twitch.tv/Freddie Show and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to be streaming more Elden Ring when I get the chance, and maybe some co-op stuff in the future. I'm going to probably be playing some more Generation Zero as well with my Power Sneak Assassin next week.
Yeah, excellent.
I bought the story DLC, so I can now do the whole game and blow up more robots. There might be some other stuff I might do as well. We might do some live Goosey reactions and stuff next Thursday. 9 p.m. British Standard Time, GMT. Come along, say hello, give me a follow, much appreciated. Cheers.
Excellent. And as always, I'll try and stream at least twice a day on the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. With today, we did something like between usually about 3 to 6 on Saturdays, and then again on 9 o'clock we do the podcast, and then on Sundays I normally do it at 3 till 6 again, and then I go into the evening around about 8ish. So I'll take a little bit of a break, do about 8 o'clock on a Sunday, and do whatever games I have in my list. Usually it's been Phasmo or something along those lines, or another type of ghost hunting game that I might pick up, or I might even do some. I might even do some of the old core. Is it called? What was it called? Core Fund? Core. So yeah. Whatever.
Core Keeper.
Core Keeper. Core Keeper.
Core Finder.
Yeah,
Core Finder.
Core Finder.
Find that core.
Core Keeper. I might do some Core Keeper tomorrow, and if anyone's available, yeah. If anyone's around, just join me with that.
Well, right?
I will try.
Yeah. We could do that. We could do some of that.
I'm really busy tomorrow, so
That's
I
fine.
might not be able to make it.
No problem.
Unfortunately.
But I'm going to give that a go at some point.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Hey. But otherwise,
another one in there.
Hey, don't. I'm not.
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah. There you go. That's it. That's all I've got time for. So if you want to check out my channel, it's twitch.tv/FunnyBitsBoy. And we're check. If you can't join us for tomorrow, then please try and catch the podcast next Saturday at 9. Where I'll be joined by my 2 co-hosts, The Freddie Show and Pizza Beth. Hey. Thank you very much, both of you. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for everyone watching, if you are watching live, and thanks to anyone who is listening. And just check out those podcasts. Please leave. I know Freddie's already covered it, but I can't help but mention it again.
We'll scream it from the rooftops.
Scream it from the rooftops. Thanks very much for joining us today. And we'll see you again in the next episode 21 next time. Thanks for
21.
Thanks for watching 21. And thanks for listening. Goodbye. Bye.
We're out.
And that's a wrap, folks.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.